Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, YouTube viewers. Good morning, Facebook Nation. Good morning to all people, all languages, all colors, men, women, children around the world. Good morning to everyone. May you have the best day humanly possible. Today we're starting a new three-part series, and the topic is entitled Reality Undeniable. So before we start, click like, subscribe, share. A lot of stuff on the playlist, and the thing what we discuss most is truth, and things that were discussed in the playlist are still applicable for today, and you can use it in any situation in your life. Along with today's topic, you can put this topic with any situation in your life, go through the same steps, and you'll receive positive results from it. And it's just another way of looking at things in our lives. So the topic is reality undeniable, 3 lessons of wisdom. And part 1 is going to be look, and the 3-part series is going to be based on look, listen, and learn, 3 attributes of wisdom. So we on this channel discuss topics in which we all have questions to, like the whys in life, and actions, and the ways of others, as well as why we fall short of our goals. Most importantly, how our very own actions contribute to life as a whole, along with our role in life. So we have to take responsibility. That's what we do on this channel. We look at our role. We don't think about what other people are doing, because the only ones we have control over is ourselves. So in this 3-part series, we will go over exactly what it takes to attain a better self, a better life, and a better world. And all of it begins and ends with you and me. It begins with us. What changes are made in life, and the things that we expect out of life. Those things start and end with us. There are 3 attributes in which any human must attain in order to attain wisdom. Wisdom determines your life, not physical or material or intellect. These 3 attributes are look, learn, and listen. So, most people think that, if I have the physical ability, or if I have the, materials, the wealth, or if I have the intellect, that these are all the keys that I need in life. And the reason why things are happening in our lives the way they are is because these are false attributes to have, where the attributes that we should have are going to be discussed today. And those attributes of being lost is no fault of our own. That will also be explained today. So today, as we said, we discuss look, how we look at life, how we process life, and what we expect in life. And is what we see real? Are the things that we're seeing in life today real? Or are they just corresponding with illusions that each one of us possesses within ourselves, and then we create a world to exist within it, realizing that there's a reality, and no matter how we view our lives in our world, there's a reality in which all of humanity must function. And this is the reality that is so far out of order right now, that it's hard for people to come into being able to see things, because it's easier to stay trapped in the illusion of the world in which a person created, which goes away from the reality of the world. So it's easier to stay in that place and hope for the best. So to look at a thing, what does it mean to look at something? To look at the way we should view things in our lives, the way we approach how we look at things. So to look at a thing, and it also could be any situation, so that's what thing means. To look at a thing is to see a thing. How we interpret a thing determines results. So how we see something and how we interpret it determines everything. So that's the result you're going to get, whether good or bad. A way to explain this, which I am, I'm going to explain this as such. So what I'm going to use is, I'm going to use something that's happening in the news right now that all of us are aware of, can't be denied because it's making world news. However, this was over the course of a 20-year period, and the lies over the 20-year period. And we follow these lies. Well, not all of us, most of us. We follow these lies, and we still, even now that they're a lie, we're still holding on to a lie, which suits the individual bubbles that we brought ourselves into, that reality that says, okay, we have to protect this lie because it protects everything that I do, all of the things that I'm doing in my life that aren't being looked at. We can continue to look at this instead. So again, we'll discuss that in a different topic of how that perception comes about. But this is what the perceptions that we're facing right now, where people know things to be lies, people know things to be untrue, people know that things are being done with bad intentions, but they overlook it because it takes away the light from being on them. So they know that something is happening, and they don't want to change anything about it. So in this sense, it kind of makes a person a bad person. And in actuality, it is a bad person, because you see something that's not right, but then we ignore it because we don't want to put light on ourselves. or we don't want to be looked at. So let's look at what took place. So we hear in the news about Afghanistan, and condolences to the people of Afghanistan, the men, women, and children who have lost their lives or a loved one. Also the people of Pakistan, because the Taliban isn't discriminating. Other people that are in that land of Afghanistan, and a lot of them are Pakistani, they fall under whatever was being handed out to the Afghanistans. Because again, the evil does not discriminate; it just destroys. So condolences to all those people, as well as going off topic to the people in Haiti who suffered the earthquake. Over almost 2,000 people lost their lives. So, condolences to you and, to your loved ones as well. So, so why lie over a 20-year period? Why lie? Well, first of all, the intentions of going into this place was a lie from the start. And that was a lie that was justified by, 9/11. And 9/11 was justified by other little small acts where they would go in and make us all get in fear, and then they go in and then they do something else. We're going to discuss that. But the process over the 20-year period was constant lies, constant lies, constant lies, lies so much that we ignored them, knowing that they were lies, and we accepted them as being true. Now, for the thousands of people who have lost their lives, this is the end result of where this lie took these people. That these people's lives will, for the rest of their lives, will be turned upside down. So, did things get better? Things get worse? We'll never know. They are getting worse, but would they have gotten better had we stepped in? Well, we obviously not, because of what's taking place right now. So the issue is far greater than war, and the reason for going there is not about the people. And this is what this shows also. So this is how we're opening up our eyes to see the reality that people are dying because of something that we failed to open up our eyes to see, but yet and still it was right in front of us for us to see. So, okay. So now, for 20 years, we as of Americans have been living a lie. You see, we believed in our media. Remember what the media was saying. We cheered on our politicians when they were talking strong and what we're doing. We cheered them on. And the religious and the corporate and the charitable organizations were licking their chops because, again, this is profitable land, souls to be saved, and rights and abuses to be fought for. And this is the army that comes in every war and every country that we invade. It comes in that order. It comes corporate, religious, and then charitable organizations. And this isn't by accident, but how many of us open our eyes to see it, that this process has been used from the beginning of time. And this is why it's important for all of us to understand where we come from and what our real history is, because these things aren't being taught in school. So it's not our fault that we can't see, because we're being taught to be blind. So what relates this story? So why use a war story to say how we can do things in our life? Because change the situation. If you change the situation, you'll see that you'll still end up with the same results no matter what the situation is. Because we can look at this in terms of a relationship. People being married for 20 years. 20 years, the person is saying, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. But the person is living a double life. But the signs were there. You saw the signs. You saw, things that didn't make sense. You saw spending that, wasn't accounted for, and there was no explanation for it. You saw times where, the person was supposed to be where they were supposed to be, and they were not. You had friends that came and said, hey, I saw this person with so-and-so, and it didn't look too comfortable. And then you make up the excuse to say, well, he does work with the person, or she does work with the person, so, they're going to have that, and, everything was explained. But then when things hit the fan, all of a sudden it's like, you're devastated. 20 years you've been, lied to. But no, the lie wasn't there, that you accepted that lie. So you're a part of that blame. And this is how we're saying, we're using this story because we can all relate to it. It's not about relationships, and it's not about religion, and it's not about an organization or a corporation. It's something that's happening that is going to affect the world in whole. So, okay, so what relates this story to how we look at life? Remember the war on terror and the media response. Hey, we've taken out their top officials. We've destroyed this or that stronghold. The people of the Middle East cannot thank us enough. Americans, we stand together for democracy for all. Remember that. Over 20 years, that's kept getting flooded and bang, bang with that. Let's look at the reality. This was the same script that they gave us. Over 20 years being quoted, propagandized, and promoted by Bush administration, Obama administration, Trump administration, now up until even Biden's administration, until everything hit the fan. Okay? So now we say this with me. I want you all to say this with me, because it's important that you say this, because in saying this, you will wake up. And we're going to use the number 8 for each one. So when I tell you what you're going to say, I'm going to use that number 8, and you're going to include the number 8 and say exactly what I say. So we're going to say Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat. Okay? So let's do it together. Republican, 8 years. Democrat, 8 years. Republican, 4 years. Democrat, 6 months. It's 2 years, 20 years, 6 months. Didn't matter who's in office, did it? And this is the thing that I've been saying, throughout my channels. We're sitting there trying to back political parties when all this stuff is being done by one group of people. No matter where you look in the world, everything that is happening now is being done by one group of people. And the way that we wake up and the way that we look at things, we have to realize that we're being played against one another. But it's a hard battle because most people, again, they want to stay trapped. Even though the reality and what they're seeing, they know to be true, the reality is that they're not looking beyond there to see what's really, really true. So again, it explains why so much bad is happening in the world and why so many people, billions of people who know what's going on will do nothing about it because they profit from it. They achieve things from it, individually. So they're just, in smaller circumstances, they're just using the same systems, just in a different way, in a smaller way, which is their circle, their bubble. They do the same thing that world powers are doing, world governments are doing. We all do it because we're learning from the best. So, what relates this story? And then, like we said, we look at, how America says it stands together. For 20 years, the same script being quoted. Does this really say, what does this really say about us? So think about it. Is any government really there for its people? Or is it about corporate, religious, and charitable organizations and not people? And I would think the latter, because most of us believe this BS that's being pushed out there because we are consumed with fear, survival, and uncertainty. And although we know certain issues in our lives to be true or on false or that something's not right with it, religion is there to step in while social and charitable organizations are there to pick you up just enough for the process to start all over again, passing it on to your children. So, this is to say that it's not our fault that these options were given to us, that we could go into these bubbles and create our own realities. That was, all these things were done on purpose. It was a plan that was done from, the very, very start. It's been used over, centuries since mankind has been here. All they're doing is perfecting a system that has already been in place and already been used by other world powers. However, no world power ever lasted. So these systems crash. And again, greed is crashing this system. Greed and corruption have destroyed this system that we're seeing. Now we have no choice but to open our eyes because things are about to happen in this world that has never ever happened before, and it's going to challenge even the strong of us. So the fact is, when it comes to what's going on in Afghanistan, the terrorist has been growing. And people out of the Middle East have not been thankful for us being there. The Taliban took over the entire country in less than 2 weeks, took billions of dollars in U.S. military equipment and weapons. How's the war on terror looking now? So not only did they leave and abandon the people, I can understand why we had to, because that really wasn't our fight. We were helping to fight, but they left the people, and leaving the people in 2 weeks, they were able to take all that, and possess all this military power. They're not talking about the weapons that these people got, some of the most advanced weapons that the Americans that we had left behind. So who allows somebody to get possession of this? Who allowed that? Wouldn't they have destroyed, the weapons? Wouldn't they have, blown it up or burned it up, when they knew that the Taliban was coming? No, the stuff was left intact and ready to be used all over again. And the reason is, why? Because war makes money. It makes money. And it's how we've been doing it, and it's how we're going to continue to do it. But we want to live in denial. Again, we know what's to be true because what's true is in front of us. But we have the right to put this thing in front of us, which is a screen, a digital screen. However we escape reality and create these distorted realities in our own minds, to not see this, we've been allowed to do such. So this is why these things will continue. And it'll continue to each person, speaks up to say, hey, this is what they're really, really doing. This is what's really going on. And, we're not going to play the games with you. And think about it. People in the smaller cities, the voting for mayor and all this stuff, all the little smaller seats going on, locally, how many people are out there that have really been involved in, knowing what's going on a local level? Because remember, what they do on an upper level can't be accomplished until they solidify what's down below, which is us, the common people. So hopefully, people got involved in, some of these smaller elections. So let's end it with this. The reality is this. We understand that, that we're living in a world where, war makes money. History confirms it. And it doesn't matter really who's in office. And for the sad part is there's two groups of people that will get something from this. There's the ones that will say, oh, it's the Democrats' fault because, look at how they left them. Yeah, so and so did this, but look at this. Those people won't see. They'll never see. They won't allow them to see, and they're willing to die in a belief of something that really really isn't true. So to sit back and as a world to sit back and blame who's at fault. Why aren't we looking at the real fact of reality to say, why have you been lying for the past 20 years? Not one group of you, all of you, for 20 years been lying. And so now we understand how we need to look at life. We can't just look and look halfway and beyond, and then when everything hits the fan, we see. So in any situation in your life, look at things for what they really really are, and make choices. Because when you look at things for what they really really are, it gives you a choice. But not only does it give you a choice, it allows you a voice in order to act. So therefore, again, it goes back into what was said. If you see a thing, you can fix a thing. But if you don't see a thing, then you can never fix a thing, because the thing will always exist because you don't see it. So I want everyone to have a beautiful day. Sorry it was a little bit longer. Sorry, I used a topic, concerning war, but I had to use a topic that we can all relate to, and for the ones that are my age, we can understand when this lie started, how this lie started, the fact that it carried over for so many years, and the end result of this lie is thousands of people losing their lives. So situations like this might not be affecting us, the viewers out there, in such manners, but there are things in our lives that affect us just the same. There's things that are destroying our families. There's things that are, destroying the way we feel about our workplace. There's things that education. We can go on and on and on and on and on. Social circles, on and on and on and on and on. So use the same process and the same thought, and give it a different way of looking at situations in your life. So, trying to talk fast to get it out fast. So, with that, everyone have a beautiful day. Remember part 2, which is going to be look, and it's going to be learn. So we did look today. Learn will be tomorrow. And with that, everyone have the most beautiful day, have the most productive day, and be the best person that you can be. And with that, everyone, peace and blessings.